Good morning, boys and girls. We are on lesson 16, page 75, homework. And the question says here, solve and show your thinking with a tape diagram. It says number 1, Anthony bought a 8-foot board. He cut off 3/4 of the board to build a shelf and give 1/3 of the rest to his brother for an art project. How many inches long was the piece Anthony gave to his brother? So, looking at this question right here, the first thing I did was I circled the important parts in the story. The second part I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine the story. What is the story that Anthony is trying to tell you? So we know that Anthony is trying to build, or he bought a 8-foot board. So the board is going to look something like that. And he cut 3/4 of it. So that means that there were 4 pieces and he cut it into 3/4 of the board to build a shelf. So we have 1, 2, 3. Those are 3 pieces that he cut, right? And then we also know that he gave 1/3 to the rest of his brother for an art project. So we know that the rest of the piece he gave away to his brother. So they're asking you how many inches long was the piece Anthony gave to his brother. So looking at this and drawing it into tape diagram is going to help. I have 8 feet and I have 3/4 for the shelf. So this is the 3/4 piece. I am going to highlight it so that you can see this is the 3/4 piece for the shelf, and all together is equal to 8 feet. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 1/3 of 2 because the 2 is the amount that he is going to give to his brother. We don't know how much is 1/3 of 2 until we multiply. So that's why we're multiplying 1/3 of 2. So 1 times 3, 1 times 2 is equal to 2. And 3 times 1 is equal to 3. So that means that the answer is 2/3 of a foot that he's going to give to his brother. Now, 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So I need to make sure that I convert that into inches. So I'm going to multiply 2/3 of 1 foot. So 2/3 times 12. Where am I getting the number 12 from? It comes from 12 inches. 2 times 3 is equal to 24. 3 times 1 is 3. So 24 divided by 3 is equal to 8 inches, and that is your final answer. That's how much he is going to give to his brother. Amount given to brother. Now, problem number 2. It says here, let me move this over. Whoa, what happened there? Okay, that was interesting. It suddenly moved. I think because I touched the wire. I should not touch that. Okay, let me zoom in again. Sorry about that, boys and girls. So number 2, Riverside Elementary School is holding a school-wide election to choose a school color. 5/8, and that's what 5/8 looks like. 5/8 of the votes were for blue, and 5/9 of the remaining votes were for green. So we know it's for green and blue, and the remaining 48 votes were for red. So, first thing I did was I circled the important parts in the story, and then I'm going to read again and try to figure out what is the story telling me. So Riverside Elementary School, an elementary school, right, where students go to school, is holding a school-wide election. Election is when you vote for someone or something. In this case, they're voting for a school color. And they were voting for either blue, green, or red. So I need to figure out how much were voted for blue because that's the question here. How much was voted for blue? I know that overall there are 48 votes. I know also that there are 3 colors, but I'm specifically looking at the amount for blue. And it says right here, 5/8 of the votes were for blue. So taking that number, 5/8, looking for a blue highlighter, 5/8 were blue. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the 5/8 that were labeled blue. Okay? Now, with that amount, what I'm going to do is I am going to multiply times 4. Sorry, times 5, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 36 times 5. 6 times 5 is equal to 30. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 3 is equal to 18. So there's going to be 180 votes for blue. Okay? Now, we're going to move on to problem B. Problem B asks you, how many votes were green? So this time around, I'm looking for green. In order to figure that out, what I'm going to do is, I know that one small unit is equal to 12 votes. So green is 5 small units. So I'm going to multiply 12 times 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. So I get 60 votes for green. Now I am going to turn the page. For the next page, on page 76, it says here, if every student got 1 vote, but there were 25 students absent on the day of the vote, how many students were there at Riverside Elementary School? To figure that out, I'm going to multiply 36 times 8. 6 times 8 is equal to 48. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 4 is equal to 28. So I get 288. So 288 is the total votes, but 25 are absent. To figure that out, I need to subtract. I need to add. They want to know how many total votes there will be in all, so I'm adding. So 8 plus 5 is equal to 13. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11. 2 plus 1 is 3. So I get 313. So there are a total of 313 total students. For problem D, it says here 7/10 of the votes for blue were made by girls. Did girls who voted for blue make up more than or less than half of all votes? Support your reasoning with a picture. So they want to know how many votes girls voted for and how many votes boys voted for. So I'm going to use yellow to demonstrate how many girls. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then for boys, we have 3 units for boys. Okay, so we know that 7/10 of blue were girl votes. And we also know that there were some boy votes. 7 small units were blue votes by girls, and 9 small units are left over. Less than half of all votes in all. So now the final question is for question E. It says here, how many girls voted for blue? So what I'm going to do is I am going to multiply 7/10 of 180 in order to figure out how many votes were voted for girls. So I'm going to multiply 7 times 18, or which I got here 126, and I added a 0 at the end, so I get 1,260. And then I multiply 10 times 1, which is equal to 10. And what I'm going to do is I am going to divide. So divide 10 divided by 1,260, or you can cross it off, and 126 divided by 1 is equal to 126. So 126 girls voted for blue. This is less than half of all votes. And that is pretty much all for today's lesson. Please make sure to ask me questions or attend tutoring if you have any questions, okay?